Good morning, guys. I hope you're well and welcome to today's edition of 600 Seconds of Trading. My name is Alejandro Zambrano, Chief Market Analyst with Trade Captain and Amana Capital. And it's February 2nd, 2018, and it's non-farm payrolls day. So, of course, we're going to take a look at things like the euro, but of course, Bitcoin, crude oil, DAX 30, and gold. Now, as well, sorry guys to keep you waiting. I had some technical issues this morning, and that's why we're starting a little bit later than we usually do. If you're new to this, we do this webinar Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. London time, here at tradecaptain.com and in the live trading room. Okay, good. Before we start, as always, please bear in mind that trading financial markets is unfortunately risky, and there's a genuine risk that we'll lose all of our invested money. So please bear that in mind, and also note that there's a risk disclaimer down here on tradecaptain.com that you can check out to make sure that you're fully aware of the risks involved when trading. Good morning, Brian. Thanks so much for joining us. Anybody else that is here, feel free to use the chat box if you want to. I will be able to answer questions about the markets we're going to cover, and it's always nice as well when you get a good morning like Brian's here. Guys, let's begin. Okay, so this is actually price of Bitcoin. We're going to definitely talk about that, but we're going to start out with the euro. So this is the euro versus the USD. Is little change today, and it's up higher in line with what I said a few days ago. But as I said as well, like I was hoping, I actually got an entry I think really early on here, and then it went down, and then my idea was, because I was trading the pound, right, I tried to get out of the pound and then wanted to go back in on the dip because I got a really lousy entry on the pound. So I made some adjustments to the entry here as well, and unfortunately we didn't go back to 123.52 to trade this specifically. In my case, it worked better with the New Zealand dollar, and kind of compensated a bit for that. Now here in the euro, the market is at a prior high, so we do not want to buy at a high. That's just as simple as that. Fibonacci wise, I take a fib from this low down here all the way to the high. It gives me all these three fibs, and because it's known from payrolls day today, things could be more volatile, so we could be down here at 123.52. And if it does, I do think traders are gonna buy. The only time they're not gonna buy is if, for example, the known from payrolls, which is anticipated to be 180,000, prints maybe 235. And then we have wage growth, and if my memory serves me right, the anticipated outcome is a wage growth of 2.6% year on year. Now if that is maybe 2.7, 2.8, then again, very good strong numbers, and that could potentially cause people to say, hold on, let's not buy here, let's just wait until Monday, and then if we're still above here, they might buy. Okay, so if the numbers from the US today are very strong, which they could be because the overall US economy is doing well, then this could easily be trading down here. Now if the numbers are just okay, then again some sort of pullback here I think makes sense to buy. Now if you're looking for more specific pairs to trade, I do like the dollar CAD in case of weak numbers from the US. Now today I'm going to host a special webinar on this. It's called, well, it's actually just live trading, really, known from payrolls, in 3 hours and 53 minutes from now. And in there I'm going to look at dollar CAD. I'm going to see if I can find another pair where it makes sense to buy the dollar in case of good numbers. And I'm going to load up a Bloomberg that we have here in the office. And as soon as those numbers are out, I'm going to say that out to everybody, and then we're going to look at the market live and see how the markets react. So if you're interested in the known from payrolls trading and specifically currency trading, then sign up to today's live webinar session. Click on education and webinars. Again here, I'm bullish, but I want to buy down here. It doesn't make sense to buy up here at the highs, and I think that eventually we're going to be trading at 126. Here's the price of Bitcoin, and there's massive pain here. Not a little bit of pain, but massive pain here in this market. And we took out this low, which is the 8,985 level, which was the support level. You might remember, I didn't think it was going to happen, but the technicals told us, right? And at the end of the day, it's not easy to actually sell on Bitcoin unless you're trading with a CFD broker. So in my case, I was long and I got out with a small loss when we reached these levels here. And the market went down and then it went up and then it just continued to go to the downside. Now what usually happens is that when you break a level like this one, the market is going to target the next level, which is down here at this is November 20th low at 7,766. And the way this is looking, I got a feeling that this is just going to continue. It's the beginning of the London session, so most likely we'll continue to see European selling and then more selling as the US opens. And we also have this triangle sort of pattern, which I published yesterday. Let's see if I can show you that. So here on Trade Captain, yesterday at 1:49 p.m. GMT, I shows the Bitcoin. So it's a daily chart. You can see how this line, you can do this sort of triangle here, and there are different ways of looking at that. Some people would look from here up to here. I just take the level here in the middle, and the difference here is $3,200. So the break from this level down here suggests that maybe at 7,504 at that point we would have get at least one times this triangle. That was the base, and that could be a potential profit target for better traders. And then when we actually start to maybe reach, I think maybe 6,000 or something like that, I think maybe it starts to make sense to start to maybe rebuild something, some sort of a long position. But my feeling is that this market, we're better off, instead of buying dips, it's better to watch this downtrend, right? So we're dealing with some sort of a downtrend like this, and let me just get rid of the arrows. And eventually, this downtrend is gonna end, and at that point I think it makes sense to rebuild positions. As well, something that is really important, and it's the following. Institutional hedge funds in the US, well, they're traded on the futures markets. They're all on not all, but on net position is short. So they're selling the price of Bitcoin. Okay. Now the people that usually buy here are the Asians and Chinese in particular, and it's the Chinese New Year on February 14th. So a lot of people have been saying, there's profit taking happening there, people getting out because they need the money to spend on something else, on family and things like that. And most likely after that, and it's in essence a break of 2 weeks. So by the end of February, when the holidays are over in China, that could potentially start to see support for Bitcoin again at lower levels. So I am bearish in the short term, and I do think this market can continue to move down lower as we took out this level. If you are looking to sell here, then fib from this high to this low gives you these different fibs, and some sort of a test of the breakout level here at maybe 9,602 could potentially act some sort of level to sell in the following way. And I'm personally not going to sell this because again, I've been buying the physical Bitcoin, not the actual CFD or spread betting, which makes it more difficult to short. And there's other stuff to buy anyway, like euro dollar as an example. And anyhow, I think it moved to the downside after any sort of correction. Here's crude oil. See if I can load it. So crude oil managed to bounce nicely, and the new low is down here. This is very straightforward. It's a bullish trend, and I think after some sort of say 50% correction, maybe a 61.8% correction, so 64.96 or 64.65, I think from these levels traders are going to start to rebuild positions like that. It doesn't make sense to buy here because it's risking quite sharply, and if we buy here, a stop needs to be about 3.4%. Doesn't make too much sense. On the other hand, down here we'll risk 2%, and if it goes up to the high, we make a little bit more than 2%. Here's the price of gold, and as you know, we've been waiting for this to bottom out here over the last few days, and it's looking okay now. I mean, it attacked the lows 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and at the end, the buyers lifted price to the upside. It could, of course, easily move down to the buy zone again. I mean, we are at the upper end of the buy zone, but I think here the market's going to stabilize and then just trade higher. Here is the DAX 30, and here we got stopped out in a big way yesterday. There's not too much to do about this market. You know, the idea was to buy up here and then stops here. This has, at least for me, been extremely tricky this year, just because of its choppy conditions. You know, it breaks to the upside, makes me want to buy, and then it just breaks to the downside, wants me want to sell, and then it breaks up again, and then here, when we finally got engaged again, it actually decides to break to the downside. And obviously it's all linked to the euro, how that's gaining. And as you probably noticed, the euro trading and just selling dollars over the last month has been, you know, extremely, not extremely, but very easy. And with that in mind, why bother with markets that don't agree with your outlook, or it's just being problematic? So I'm neutral here, and after one being stopped out once, it's quite likely you get it wrong again. So I want to wait for the market to start to acting the way I want to. Now, we watch this daily, you know, maybe because we're reaching the lows, maybe go a little bit lower. Maybe you'll try to break below to, you know, spike out some weak hands. But then if it rallies higher, it wouldn't surprise me. Technically here we are at prior lows, so this is not the time to sell. This is the time to look to accumulate and buy. But if this level is going to hold, I'm not really sure. And again, just got stopped out here, so I don't really feel that I want to get involved, because my experience over the last 10 years is that, again, you get it wrong once, you're probably going to get it wrong again. So that's why it's better just to ignore. So just to summarize, the euro is bullish. I think it could head to the upside, but we don't want to be buying at highs. We want to buy on a dip. That will be 125.52. Stops down here. That's what I think the market's going to do. That's not necessarily mean that you should be doing what I'm saying. Here's the price of Bitcoin. Took out these lows and you know, could easily move down to the next levels, which is 7,766. And I do think if we go up, I think traders are going to look to sell again. And for now, as long as trade below 12,057, I want to be a bearish seller, and I want to assume that this is going to continue to head to the downside. I also said that the Chinese big players here, the Asian market in general, are big players, and it's holiday season coming up, so it could be some time before these guys come in again. And if you've been trading this, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because every time, I mean, I was staying up until late, well, not that late, but 10 o'clock, midnight, 1 a.m., and just watching how when it's 7 o'clock in Asia, they would lift the markets. They lifted the whole thing all the way up here. And when we had this initial collapse, they were gone. After this decline here, they don't lift it any longer. There's no gains when you wake up in the morning here in Europe. It's just losses. Then we talk about crude oil. And crude oil is bullish. You know, it did bounce nicely. If you just look at this on 4 hours, a nice bullish trend, and we said a pullback. Traders probably going to buy here, lift this to the upside. Going to be bullish above 63. And then we talked about gold, that is still in the buy zone, and you know, I think it's going to bottom out here and head to the upside. And then finally the DAX 30, which is unfortunately not working out, and I want to just ignore that market for now. As I also said, educational webinar or live trading today. If you sign up to this once, you will have access to the Canadian non-farm payrolls, and this is actually great. It's really good that we have this on next week, because the Canadian NFP is as good as the US NFP when you trade the Canadian dollar. It's actually awesome. I like it. And you'll also have access to the UK unemployment rate on February 21st. In fact, what we do when we extend these, so when you sign up once, we add new events and you just sign up. And by doing so as well, you'd be a member, you'd be a basic member in Trade Captain. Okay guys, hit the like button if you're on YouTube. Share it as well if you can. It's always good. Why? Because more people watching this makes me want to do this more, and it's a little bit like everything else, right? We want to ride something that is trending. It's trending strongly to the upside, of course. So if you like it, don't forget to share. Don't forget to hit and smash that like button. Have a good day.